All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about a material that is, well, a true double-edged sword, plastic. It's this miracle invention that totally changed our world, but it's also become a huge menace. It's a really complex story, so let's unpack it.
I want to start with a statistic that's a real gut punch. By the year 2050, the weight of plastic in our oceans could actually be more than the weight of all the fish. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't some science fiction plot. It's a very real possibility, and it's exactly why we need to be talking about this right now.
So, where is all this plastic even coming from? First up, let's take a deep dive into the source of this crisis, our plastic ocean.
Now, what's really fascinating here is that this kind of busts a common myth. We often picture trash left on the beach, right? But a staggering 70% of the plastic in the ocean actually starts its journey in our cities. It washes from our streets, gets into our rivers, and then flows out to sea. And unlike a stick or a leaf, this stuff is designed to last, pretty much forever.
To really understand how we got here, we've got to go back to the beginning. Let's look at why plastic was celebrated as this miracle material, and how that miracle ended up becoming its curse.
It's a word we use every single day. But what is plastic, really? Let's quickly break down the basic science behind it.
Okay, so you can basically split plastics into two main families. On the left, you've got thermoplastics. This is the stuff you can melt down and remold again and again. Think your water bottles, plastic bags, all that stuff. Then on the right, you have thermosetting plastics. These are kind of the one-and-done type. Once they're heated and set into a shape, that's it. They're built to be super durable, like your electrical outlets or tough furniture coatings.
And it's so important to remember the world before plastic. Containers were heavy, they broke all the time, and making a lot of them was a real challenge. Plastic solved all of that. It was lightweight, it was durable, it was cheap, and you could mold it into literally any shape imaginable. It was a complete revolution that changed everything from medicine to how we keep our food fresh.
So, what about the solution we all count on? Recycling. We all carefully sort our trash, but is it actually working the way we think it is? The real numbers might surprise you.
Okay, get ready for this. Of all the plastic ever made since the 1950s, less than 10% has ever been recycled. Let that number sink in. So where did the other 90+% go? Well, it was burned, buried in landfills, or just lost out there in the environment. Let's use Japan as a case study. On paper, they have a pretty high recycling rate, but when you look closer, the details tell a different story. Only about a quarter of their plastic is actually material recycled, turned into new plastic things. The majority, that huge 55% chunk, is what's called thermal recycling, which is really just a fancy term for burning it to create energy. It's not exactly the closed-loop system we all imagine.
I know, those numbers can feel pretty discouraging, but the story definitely doesn't end there. Innovators all over the world are coming up with a whole new wave of solutions, and this is where things start to get really exciting.
So on the high-tech side of things, the approach is coming from all angles. We've got autonomous ships and drones out there literally scooping up waste from the ocean surface. We're also seeing these clever nets and barriers being put in rivers, which act like filters to catch the plastic before it even has a chance to reach the sea. And at the same time, scientists are in the lab cooking up brand new types of biodegradable plastics that are designed to just break down harmlessly.
But it's not all about big tech. There are some incredible grassroots solutions popping up too, like the precious plastic movement. This is basically an open source revolution. They share free blueprints online that teach anyone, anywhere, how to build their own small-scale recycling workshops. And this is so powerful because it doesn't just clean up waste, it actually creates local jobs and gives communities the tools to turn this massive global problem into something valuable.
And all of this brings us to a really powerful shift in how we think. What if we stopped seeing all this plastic waste as just garbage and started seeing it as a raw material for something new, something wonderful?
This idea has a name: upcycling. It's not just about reusing something. It's about transforming it into an object that has more value than it did before. It's about adding creativity, adding design, and adding a new story to something that everyone else thought was worthless.
This here shows the difference perfectly. Recycling is an industrial process, right? It takes a bottle and grinds it down into raw plastic pellets. Upcycling, on the other hand, is a creative process. It might take that same bottle, but keep its shape, its history, and transform it into something totally new and beautiful, like a lamp or a piece of art.
So we end on this question. The story of plastic started with convenience, then it turned into a crisis.
But right now, a whole new chapter is being written, one of technology, community, and creativity. This material isn't just going to disappear. So the real question is, what new stories will we choose to create from it? Thanks for tuning in.